So, friends, I hope you could reach a deep meditative stage thanks to the wonderful music, Ramji. The handpan music, really blissful. Thank you so much. So, friends, we are looking at various levers to reach happiness from this book, Happiness Here and Everywhere by Justwin Singh. And today we'll look into chapter 9, which is on humility. We all know that nobody likes a proud man or proud woman. And despite that, we are falling prey to, sometimes to our pride, sometimes we boast. So what is it that, you know, is causing this? So in this chapter, I'll begin with a joke this time, because it's quite decent. A well-known priest got down at the station of a small town and asked a small boy, "Child, where is the church in this town?" The child directed him how to get to the church. Before moving on, the priest arrogantly said to the small boy, "Come to the church this Sunday, and I will show you the way to God." Hearing this, the small boy giggled and replied, "When you don't even know the way to the church, how will you show me the way to God?" So, and then there is a story in this small story, which is quite related to this joke. And this is a true story. Many years ago at Chicago railway station, senior officials and reporters were awaiting the arrival of a Nobel Prize winner. As the big man got off the train, cameras were flashing furiously. City officials were stretching to shake hands and tell him how honored they were to meet him. Having thanked them, he excused himself for a moment, walked briskly through the crowd, and picked up the bags of an elderly woman who was struggling to carry them. He escorted her, carrying her bags to the bus, and wished her a safe journey. He then came back to the crowd and said, "Sorry to have kept you waiting." The man was the world famous Dr. Albert Schweitzer. Having seen this, a member of the reception committee said to one of the reporters, "That's the first time I ever saw a sermon walking." So, talking of walking the talk. Beautiful story. And now let's look at some of the inspiring quotes from this chapter. And the first one is by Lao Tzu. All streams flow to the ocean because it is lower than they are. Humility gives it its power. The second is from an unknown author. The tree that has the most fruit is the tree that bends to the ground. And then Shiv Khera says, humility does not mean that people think less of themselves. It only means that they think of themselves less. And there is an Indian famous proverb. There is nothing noble in feeling superior to some other person. The true nobility is in being superior to your previous self. And then the great Khalil Gibran says, and when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb. So that is when you start climbing. So very, very inspiring thoughts. Do you go about judging some people as worthless or stupid, or often treat people with an "I am more, you are less" attitude, or condescend people who don't have the gifts you have been bestowed with? For example, speaking, intelligence, finance, etc. If yes, then read this message with utmost care for your own good as a warning alarm from a humble friend, for you are still being controlled by your ego, which is making you arrogant. Do you know why we do that? Because most of us has a very poor self-esteem. This gives us a feeling of being less in some areas of life, and so our insecure inner self craves to project itself as bigger than we actually are, especially in the very areas where we feel the lack. So actually the source of your pride is shame. Several qualities are considered to be the cause of arrogance. And that's the tragedy of it. Education, knowledge, religious piety, family pride, physical attractiveness, physical strength, wealth, and achievement, the number of one's admirers and followers, etc. However, in reality, they are all positive values, but stupidly interpret them and you become arrogant. Okay. And beware, the universe likes to keep things in balance. So whenever an inflated ego ignores its law that all things are equal, it introduces humility in the form of a loss or downfall to bring that ego back to earth. At that time, though the sting feels like a wound, it really is just a lesson from the higher power to keep you balanced. The moment the universe senses arrogance, it gives you a poke of humility by force and will keep repeating these pokes or reminders until you learn the lesson of humility. So get back to earth before the universe needs to give you another hurting reminder. A man who is truly great doesn't have to prove it. And if he isn't great, trying to prove it will do no good. So then the author is explaining things about humility. And he says, strive for humility instead of power. The play for power, bragging, or arrogance all boils down to poor self esteem. A person with a poor sense of self worth tries to hide his feeling of inferiority by behaving big and trying to feel superior to all. A short person who is conscious of his height will try to walk tall by stretching himself up. A man who is not sure of others listening to him will talk loudly. The ironical reality is that the more you are showing yourself off to others, the more others will avoid you and talk behind your back about your insecure need to brag. The only way to inner peace and lifelong happiness is to accept yourself as you were created and then keep on finding ways of self improvement so that you can be of more use to humanity. By striving to reach your highest potential, you'll start living with the confidence and faith that you are doing your best at all times. This will help you in accepting who you are further and will slowly kill your arrogant need to prove your worth to others. So, who else can be a better you than you? That's the point. There's no one better than you, right? So, just be yourself, be humble. Humility is simply being yourself. A humble person has confident yet modest sense of his merits, but also knows his limitations. Be aware of your limitations and just accept them and try to improve. He is aware that each one of us has been created for a specific reason, and it is clear that all creations of nature are of immense importance, with no one being superior or inferior to another. With such a love for all in his heart, people are drawn towards him, for he displays a quiet inner confidence and has no need to make himself look good or be right all the time. And humility is a sign of maturity. The word humility is derived from the Latin root humus, which means earth. Look around you and you will observe that the people you know the most, who have lived and achieved the most, are the people who are the most down to earth. We can learn this secret from nature. The tree bends when it bears fruits, when it matures. Likewise, humility is a sign of maturity of a human being. When you feel that you have got more than what you deserve, and you actually do deserve it, that's true humility. So that's about humility. There's a beautiful poem. I Would Be Faithful is the title of the poem. Dear God, I do not ask that I may do great things for thee. I only ask for vision clear that I fail not to see. The little opportunities to do a kindly deed, to speak a pleasant word of cheer, to share with those in need. For vision clear that I may see the God in every one, may see thee in all loveliness, the dawn, the setting sun. I do not ask for something great thing. I do not ask for some great thing to do, O Lord, for thee. But oh, in doing little things, grant that I faithful be. And then, of course, there's a nice poem from Swami Vivekananda. Knows not is the title. He who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool. Leave him. He who knows not and knows that he knows not is simple. Teach him. He who knows and knows not that he knows is asleep. Awaken him. He who knows and knows that he knows is wise. Follow him. The great Swami. Action plan, if you want to be truly humble. To be humble is to recognize your limits. Life is too short to acquire all the knowledge available. There will therefore be many areas where you will not know much. So instead of hiding behind an ego that feels defeated, simply admit, I don't know, which is the easiest way to obtain maximum information in the shortest period. So true. Number two, the next time you get an opportunity to brag about your accomplishments, resist the temptation. Remind yourself that it is okay to have pride in who you are and what all you have achieved. But each time you harbor any secret thought of arrogance or conceit, remind yourself of the lesson of humility before the universe needs to do so. So beware. So that's chapter number 9, True Humility. And yeah, looking forward to some sharing. You can unmute yourself and share any thoughts on today's meditation or any other thoughts. Yes, Ramji.
Thanks a lot, Nagendra ji. Very, very wonderful group meditation. Indeed, and pan music, it is just one instrument and just one person. It sounds like a band of instruments with so many musicians. Such a beautiful, uh, you know, way he plays, and it took so deep, very beautiful, and wonderful. I would say wake up call, because all of us have something to learn from this powerful word humility. Life constantly reminds us to be humble, and one of the signs I have witnessed in my life is every time there is a challenging situation, and when I look through different perspectives, I notice that life is giving me an opportunity to become more and more humble. So any painful situation, any uneasy situation is always giving us a wonderful opportunity to become humble, to learn humility. So greatest masters, one of the powerful qualities they have is being humble, and we can see how much humility they are carrying. They know and they know, yet they do not show off that they know. So, very, very beautiful lesson. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ram. Yeah, very nicely summarized. Yeah, Mamta ji, please go ahead.
Namaste, Nagendra ji.
Namaste.
Namaste, masters. Daily wisdom is a beautiful opportunity for everyone to enlighten, and it's a light to our path. And it is a great experience to celebrate. So, I want to share my words today. Our happiness does not come from being in a specific place, from another person, or in a certain job situation. All joy comes from aligning ourselves with divine love and living in a life of service and gratitude. Without that alignment, all is fleeting. Don't worry that we need to have it all to be happy. Simply focus on being in divine service and know you are always exactly where you need to be. So, thank you. This is the lines I wanted to share with you all. Thank you, universe. Thank you, Nagendra ji. Thank you, all masters.
Thank you, Mamta ji. Beautiful, beautiful, and very, very true thoughts that you've written down. You know, Buddha said that there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. So, very rightly said, be humble, be present. That is so important. When you are present, always living in the present moment. And I always now remember once I read that book, The Path of the Peaceful Warrior, where it is said that there are no ordinary moments in life. Every moment is extraordinary. Once you remember this all the time, I think you'll always be happy. So thank you very much. Thank you, Pooja ji, for the message. Any more sharings, thoughts?